episode 44 of Winning the Division. I am your co-host, Ryan Smith, alongside being Troupe, former NFL tight end. We are winning the division where, remember, you were either in the division or you are winning your division here at Winning the Division. Before we get started tonight with our episode, for the latest in Carolina Panthers and NFL news, you can subscribe to the audio version of this podcast, the Keep Pounding Podcast Network, where we are then powered by Fans First Sports Network. Keep Pounding brings you the latest news, analysis, and interviews from top players, announcers, studio leads, and more. You can rate, review, and subscribe at your favorite podcast platform, or you can subscribe to the video version of this podcast, which is the YouTube version. Go to youtube.com/Tobacco Radio. And for those of us who want to get ahead on Father's Day, Ben, is about 10 days from now, just over a week's time. Both of us are fathers. It's coming up. And so our friends over at 1-800-Flowers.com has you started. Find great gifts for those superstar dads in your life at 1-800-Flowers. Use the code 299-7001. That is from our friends at 1-800-Flowers.com. Well, Ben, here on In Winning the Division, let's get started with first things first, like we always do. In about 10 minutes' time, we'll bring in our guest tonight from CBS Sports, where he is a staff writer there. Let's start with, I'll keep it light to start. Josh Allen got married over the weekend. Haley Steinfeld, the famous actress, and Josh Allen tied the knot together. And I heard Larry David even made an appearance at the wedding as well. So thoughts on Josh Allen and his wedding?
Congratulations, Josh. I mean, welcome to the land of married men. I mean, I think that when you talk about a guy like Josh Allen, obviously, he married, the love of his life. They was able to do it the right way. I mean, it's Josh was like, listen, it's not that we can't afford it from my rookie deal. Well, let's wait on me to get this MVP money so we can, splurge a little bit more. Larry David coming to your wedding proves that you are a full-blown celebrity, sir. I mean, when Curb Your Enthusiasm is in the building, and I guarantee you somebody say, hey, Larry, are we going to get another? No, we're not going to get another Curb Your Enthusiasm. But sometimes, Smitty, you don't know how famous you are until the who's who show up to your wedding. So, hey man, congratulations to Josh. Congratulations to his bride. And who knows if he's getting married, if he's engaged before he wins the MVP and he gets married after he wins the MVP, who knows how much better that's going to make his game, settling them down. Next thing you know, we're going to be talking about, not to get ahead of nobody, talking about little Josh Allen. So, but congratulations to Josh and his wife, man. I mean, may they have, many, many beautiful years together.
Let's continue on with the 49ers. They trade for Eagles defensive end Bryce Huff for a mid-round pick. The pick swap was finalized tonight. But Bryce Huff is now reunited with Robert Saleh in San Francisco, new defensive coordinator in San Francisco after being fired as the head coach of the Jets last year, where Bryce was on his original team where he got drafted before being traded to the Eagles, and Robert Saleh then reunites him out in California with the 49ers.
Yeah, I heard some rumblings around, Philly about that whole Huff situation because, you talk about the young D-line they got, and people's like, where is he going to fit into the rotation? Ojulari is a guy they got out from the Giants in the offseason. Huff is just an odd man out. I mean, he gets to walk away a Super Bowl champion, but he gets to reunite with a coach that definitely understands his skill set. Look, when people talk about lateral moves, I mean, yes, he's going away from the Super Bowl champ, but San Francisco is definitely reloading, retooling, and whatever you want to call it. But he definitely landed in a good situation. And because he got traded, that's going to mean he's probably going to get some new money. He's not going to get some, he's not going to get record-breaking money, but he might be able to negotiate a new contract. So there are worse things in the world, Smitty, than going from Philly to San Francisco. Sometimes you go to places to where not only are they not contenders, they pretenders. That you talk about the National Football League, but he landed on his feet. New digs, new zip code, new teammates. Maybe that could spring him, to have to go out there and have a breakout type season.
Yep. The Madden 2026 cover is out. Saquon Barkley leaps onto the cover, literally, as he did last season many times. thoughts on the Madden curse, which is, I think, no longer a thing after the last few cover boys have done their job. But thoughts on Saquon Barkley getting the cover of Madden?
I mean, one of the easy decisions. I don't know who makes the final decision of who is on the cover. Well, who was that? I mean, Jalen Hurts could have easily been on the cover, but I think when you look at what Saquon did, not just at his position, not just for the Eagles, but just what he means to the league. A guy that has come, full circle when you talk about his career, getting out of New York, going to Philly, could have easily broke the Russian title. Showed it. Not only is he a great teammate, great human being. When you look at going back to the different moments that he had this year, not letting the young guys get in the games that he could have broke records, not playing the last game of the season, getting the ball. I want to say the equipment man. I can't remember who the guy was during the parade, pulling him over the barrier. Like, look, man, I'm Saquon. So, and I saw him doing. Sorry, guy that played for Jacksonville. I know we had Marcus Pollard on. They were showing him doing the leap. For the cover or whatever he was doing. But shout out to Saquon, man. Couldn't happen to a better player, a better human being.
Let's go with Kyle Pitts with your Atlanta Falcons. He is dealing with an undisclosed injury, Ben. I know that's music to your ears as a Falcons fan, but also for any Kyle Pitts fans of the world, as he doesn't have a contract after this season. And, he's had a lot of injuries in his career and inconsistencies in his rookie contract with the Falcons.
You talking about Kyle Pitts?
Yeah.
I don't like undisclosed injuries and different things, Smitty, because sometimes that sounds like it's more than just football. And I'm just speculating at this point. Kyle Pitts obviously has been around some trade rumors. I don't like that because if he is on the trading block, somebody's going to snatch him up very, very quickly. Potentially a team in the NFC East. Kyle Pitts is, this is a big time proving year for him. And Michael Penix is going to be throwing in the rock. You're talking about Drake London. You're talking about Bijan Robinson. You talk about an offense that could be loaded top to bottom. Kyle Pitts is going to have to be a big missing piece. Undisclosed injuries, could be minor, could be major. It's more of a question mark, but I'm hoping that he gets back sooner rather than later. And if you are Kyle Pitts, being the highest drafted tight end in NFL history, having 1,000-yard season his rookie year, even though that got broken by Brock Bowers, who was the first team All-Pro in 2024. Football is a prove-it league. Football is a prove-it game. No matter college, pro, high school, middle school, Pop Warner. For Kyle Pitts, no matter how, I know he's cool under pressure. I know he's done some like different things. I know he went on Cam Newton's show and different things. It's an update your resume type league. It's what have you done for me lately? And Kyle Pitts' numbers don't look pedestrian when you look at it over the last 4 years. But what he's capable of compared to what he's shown, listen, man, potential is a very, very dangerous thing because we all have it. Most of us will never live up to it or meet it. But for a guy like Kyle Pitts, 6'6", 245, 250, you got to go out there and put. And hopefully, this year's offense is Michael Penix is gonna feature him more. Raheem Morris, some guys are gonna feature him more, but he's not. You don't want to be making the news for the wrong reason. I know it's still early in the offseason, but Smitty, hopefully he gets back. Like I said, hopefully that injury is nothing major, because the last thing you want to hear is breaking news out for the year. So as long as we're not hearing that, I can live with the second day of June, him having some unfavorable news. But hopefully he is getting. He seems to be a pro's pro. I think he's a dad now, so he got a lot more things to play for now than he normally did.
Yep. I'm going to combine these last three kind of into three different topics here: trade/contract extensions, retirements, and then random boat video, which that's the third topic, which we'll do that one first. Stephon Diggs and some pink powder found over the weekend in a boating incident. The Patriots had no comment, and Stephon Diggs he starts posting videos about himself on practice and saying he's the hardest worker at practice and he always gives it his go, or gives it his hardest, and nothing to worry about here. It's May. But thoughts on this video that has surfaced? We had the boating video back in the day with the New York Giants, and we also had, the 2005 video back with the Minnesota Vikings back in your playing days with Randy Moss, Brian
Riverboat Ron, yeah.
So go ahead.
I did see the Stephon Diggs video. It's not good for a lot of reasons. Number one, Stephon Diggs is a grown man. He can do whatever he wants to do, but Stephon Diggs is also the starting receiver or potentially the starting receiver for the New England Patriots. Mike Vrabel wants to do things the Patriot way, whether he's Bill Belichick or not. He got his fame, rise to fame, and claim to fame, and how he, when he was with the New England Patriots. Stephon Diggs need to understand this. There are some big name receivers that got let go at the in the prime of their careers. Randy Moss with the Minnesota Vikings, he got let go, right? He got let go. I remember one of Tyreek Hill. Remember him? Let him go. Kansas City, let him go, right? Stephon Diggs got let go from Minnesota. That's how he ended up in Buffalo. What did Buffalo do? And he was the best receiver. They let him go. That's how he ended up in Houston, right? Stephon Diggs need to understand this. We don't care about practice videos. Don't care about it. We care about perception. You are a pro. And the last thing you want is people trying to say, what is that? What is he doing? Why is he doing that? Stephon Diggs, you're not an everyday person walking around. You're a professional athlete. I think you're in year 10 or 11. One of the best receivers since you stepped into the league when you look at your numbers of what you've done. But just like we said previously, about Kyle Pitts, it's not what you've done, it's what you're doing. And the thing about it is, if Mike Vrabel is looking at you to be one of the leaders, not just of the receiver room or the offense, but the team, that's not a good look. When they say no comment, that's how mad they are. When the team says no comment, that's how mad, because they don't want to have to answer questions about things. In the Bill Belichick era, how many times you remember him talking about stuff like this? You didn't. So, and I'm not comparing Vrabel to Bill Belichick, but they want to get back to them winning ways. So, hopefully it's a one-time incident, and hopefully Stephon Diggs knows you want to make the paper, man, in Foxborough or New England about catching touchdown passes, not by being on boats with pink substances or whatever it was. Man, let's get back. Let's get back to business, and let's stay away from the nonsense.
All right, so last two, and I'm gonna, like I said, combine these into. So first one is going to just be a bunch of people retired today. Texans corner Ronald Darby after 10 NFL seasons. 4-time Pro Bowler for the Lions, center Frank Ragnow retired after 7 seasons in the league today. That was absolutely huge, in my opinion. So thoughts on those two retirements, respectively.
I want to say Ronald Darby won a Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken, with the 2015 Denver Broncos.
It was the Broncos against the Panthers. Way to bring that up again, then. Okay.
Listen, Ronald Darby, really nice career. Ragnow, though, let me tell you something. Not the new trend, but people kept saying, man, what is long enough of a career these days? Ragnow retiring. I mean, and obviously, Mark, Coach Campbell and them, Dan Campbell, they're gonna wish him the best. They have to. He's a professional, but that hurts. A player of his caliber walking away, and look, and we wish him the best in retirement. And maybe I don't know if it came out why he retired, but when you're talking about the foundation of an offensive line, it starts and ends with your center. I don't care how good your tackle is. I don't care how good your guards are. If you don't got the best player on your offensive line don't got to be your center. He has to be the smartest. But it did send shockwaves. But I wish guys the best in retirement, Smitty, for my career essentially could have easily ended. It could have lasted a lot longer than it did. But I walked away from football, with my head held high. I did everything I wanted to do in the game. Never won a Super Bowl, never made a Pro Bowl, anything like that. That was never my goal. But I think with football, what people never, ever give credit and credence to is this. The ability to walk away on your own terms. Listen, the game going to retire us all. No matter what. Father Time, even for LeBron, even for Tom Brady, even for Cal Ripken, they're going to catch us all. But to tell Father Time I'm good, to tell the NFL, man, I appreciate it. That to me is the swan song. That's what you want to be able to say, because it didn't retire me. I retired from it. It didn't tell me, hey, Ben, you've lost a step. I'm telling them, listen, I can still go out there and do it. And I've helped build a franchise in a level of respectability like the Detroit Lions. I left it better than I found it. And you're going to be missed. So, Ragnow, man, like I said, I'm pretty sure when they sat him down, they closed the door. They said, you sure you want to do this? Like, all right, well, you sure there's nothing we can do? I mean, because you got to make sure. And if Ragnow's not sure, he's made his decision right now.
I'd like to think he told them a while back he was leaving.
Yeah, well, the thing is too, I know everybody keep talking about these Aaron Donald workout videos. Aaron Donald is retired. What else can Aaron Donald do? Nothing. He can win another ring. He can go to another Pro Bowl. He can go to, but congratulations to Ragnar, man. I think that sometimes we don't celebrate the players being able to, the Patrick Willises of the world, the, Luke Kuechly's of the world. People like, man, he should have, dude, I've done all I'm here to do. You talking about all pro, you talking about defensive MVPs, Super Bowl appearances.
Yeah.
What else can you do? We wanted to win it. Well, everybody's in the Super Bowl or a championship game wants to win it, but that doesn't validate or invalidate your career. So congratulations to him in retirement, man. Welcome to the former player side, man. It is grand. I know people say it won't get better than this. I guarantee you have a path and a plan and a purpose to fulfill that. Oh man, you won't even miss football. Promise that.
All right, last one, and we'll get our guests in here real quickly. Vikings general manager, Mr. Kefi, and I can never Kwesi Ofemensa has a contract extension multi-year with the Vikings, and could be a reunion in Miami from Pittsburgh to Pittsburgh rather. Arthur Smith with Jonnu Smith tied in when they were both in Atlanta. Jonnu Smith on the trading block from the Dolphins, potentially going north to the Steelers. There's rumors that might be going down soon.
Listen, man, GM for Minnesota, that's the easiest decision made. I mean, him getting a contract extension is equivalent to Nick Sirianni, the head coach of Philadelphia, getting the contract extension. When you're doing your job at an exceptional level, we want to continue down the path of success. Jonnu Smith is on the trading block. I'm not understanding it. I mean, because when you talk about that Miami offense, I mean, he broke franchise records in catches, yards, and touchdowns for a tight end down there in Miami. And everybody knows that you're going to want to get more money if I have a big year. Like, these things shouldn't be. Once again, Hugh Douglas is known for saying in football, you're going to get two things: money and memories. You better get as many as you can, as fast as you can. So if Jonnu wants more money, I mean, hopefully, Pittsburgh better do something. I know Pat Fry and you don't necessarily like the fact they're trying to trade.
That's right.
But it is life, and you're trying to have that too. You're trying to have that Darnell Washington now, the other big tight end. He should be like, hey man, I mean, that's gonna make me the third. That's gonna make you the blocker tight end, which you're probably the blocker tight end right now. But I'm wishing Jonnu nothing but the best guy that came out of, I want to say, FIU, and I'm playing for my Patriots, playing for my Titans, obviously. But Jonnu had a big year. I think he's a fit any system type guy. But I don't know what's going on in Miami. First, you got Tyreek Hill saying everything but about football. Somebody he wanted to beat up Mike McDaniels last year because he wanted to get in the ball. Jonnu, if you get to Pittsburgh, ask everybody, ask Mike Tomlin. Everybody want to know, why did you bet the farm on Aaron Rodgers? That is the biggest question of this offseason. Why would Mike Tomlin in his storied career, the one thing Mike Tomlin has not done since Ben Roethlisberger has left is pick a quarterback. It's been dismal, whatever word you want to say. It's been dark, and now you betting on a guy, Aaron Rodgers. We'll see.
Well, that was first things first segment we always start with here on Winning the Division. And let's get to our guest, Ben. He is an NFL staff writer at CBS Sports, also pro football writers as well. In the past, he has worked for NFL Network, CBS Sports Texas, SNY TV, and Frogs Award, which is a TCU Horned Frog blog via Sports Nation. Let's welcome him to Winning the Division. It is Garrett Podell. Garrett, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, thank you so much for having me on, Ryan. That was a very kind introduction. Appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. And shout out to our friends in Charlotte, Al Wallace and Mark Yarborough at 7:30 the game. That's where I heard you the other week. I was spitting some knowledge on their radio show. And Mark and Al, former Panther, have both been on this podcast. And so they're both good gentlemen. So that's how I heard about you. And so wanted to bring you on to talk NFC. But we can go AFC if you want. But your latest article, NFL mandatory minicamps, biggest storylines, players for every NFC team to watch. And Ben, it kind of fits because we're doing NFC tiers after Garrett's appearance is done. We did our AFC tiers last week, so NFC today. So Garrett, let's just start here. I'll just kind of combine this. I'm a Panthers fan and content creator. I also have a Panther podcast. Ben is a former Titans player, but he's a Falcons fan. He lives in the Georgia region. He lives for his Atlanta Falcons. So we're both NFC South guys. So I'll let readers go to CBSSports.com. They'll get this article. They can read it and digest it. But let's just zero in on the Panthers and Falcons, since we'll just start there. We can kind of piggyback off that. You have biggest camp storyline, Michael Penix Jr., and I'm reading exactly what you wrote. If he can show there is no need for the team to retain Kirk Cousins. That was what you wrote for the Atlanta Falcons. And then for the Carolina Panthers, quarterback Bryce Young, Tetero McMillan, but the storyline, the offensive growth in year 2 under head coach Dave Canales. So with the Falcons and Panthers respectively, your thoughts on those two teams kind of going into this mini camp, and can either of these teams really win the South? Can they knock these Tampa Bay Buccaneers off the throne?
That's a great question, Ryan. And I think Ben's going to be happy with my answer, because I do think the Falcons have the potential to dethrone the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think the big thing with Michael Penix that could really be an upgrade in Atlanta's offense is the reintroduction of the play action pass into their offense. As Ben knows, a tight end play action, that's kind of like hitting the easy button for a quarterback. Freezes the linebackers, freezes safeties, gives them kind of a half-field read a lot of the time, so it just simplifies everything. And the Falcons ran play action 7.6% of their plays last year. That was the lowest rate in the entire NFL. Well, why did they do that? Because they had a quarterback in Kirk Cousins in his mid-30s coming off an Achilles tear, so he's not able to really do a whole lot of under-center snaps and or, stick the football out and do a couple footwork moves and throw the football. I wasn't really able to step into throws at all. That's why the Falcons also led the NFL in the pistol formation, because that allowed Kirk Cousins to not really have to move and he could still throw. But this year, Zach Robinson can design an offense in Atlanta that you guys were talking about Kyle Pitts earlier. Maybe there's more targets over the middle off play action. Maybe there's rollouts and different things that Atlanta can do offensively that could free up a number of different things and kind of make defenses have to be more accountable in their pass coverage, and maybe have to think a little bit more. And that could open up more rush lanes for Bijan Robinson in the run game if they're thinking about read option stuff and things of that nature. I know Penix isn't a scrambler, but you at least have to respect the mobility a little bit. So I think even just like a little bit more play action could go a long way in reinvigorating the Falcons' passing attack, offense as a whole. And then on defense for them, you look at, they added James Pierce and Jalen Walker in the first round of the draft. And so maybe they've been the worst pass rushing team in terms of sacks since 2019. So maybe that uptick, even marginally, could make a big difference for their defense. Now, the Panthers, I mean, there's a chance if things break their way to maybe.
Ben's going to give you some stats when you're done.
The Panthers were the worst defense in football. They were last in points, yards per play, total yards per game allowed. And then I think they were like bottom 3 in third down conversion rate allowed, the Panthers defense. Yep. So I know my maiden storyline was offense, because when you have a number 1 overall pick quarterback and who's kind of underperformed his first 2 years, that's going to be the main storyline. But even if he does pick up his game, that defense, because, I mean, basically Carolina's best hope for this season is they follow the Washington blueprint, because Washington 2 years ago, they had the worst defense in football. Dan Quinn comes in. They become a middle-of-the-pack defense, and Jaden Daniels wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. Boom, they're in the NFC Championship game. So the plan, or best-case scenario for Carolina, would be Bryce Young finds a groove with Tetero and McMillan, Xavier Legette as the number 2 wide receiver, or even number 3, depending on how good Adam Thielen looks, could maybe help him in year 2. And then if he can get McMillan going, who led the country in receiving yards over the course of his 3 seasons at Arizona, if those two, Young, McMillan, could get on the same page, maybe there's a big leap forward for Bryce Young. Second half of last year, he was a lot better, but it was against an easier part of their schedule. So it'll be really interesting to see how he looks with actual continuity, Bryce Young, in the NFL under Dave Canales in year 2 there.
Ben, before you jump in, I will just say that's fair. And I think Derek Brown, though, going down cannot be understated enough how bad the Panthers missed him last year.
Right, that was week 1, so that's a big deal.
Week 1, right.
You're the worst defense in everything. It was more than just one guy. But they did make up for it. Correct. Absolutely. Signed Trayvon Merrick,
correct.
The Raiders' most dependable player on defense the last few years in terms of snaps played. And then they made a ton of D-line ads, both in free agency and in the draft. So yeah, maybe they've shored some things up, but yeah, it's going to have to be wholesale change for sure. And Derek Brown being healthy to pick that up, no doubt.
Yeah.
But even sticking with that, Garrett, I mean, you talk about Michael Penix, and obviously, I was perplexed as to why it took Atlanta so long to finally put Michael Penix. By the time they put him in the games, even if they had an outside chance of getting in the playoffs, he still essentially has a rookie year going into maybe the first half of the season because you haven't seen him. Who has to have the biggest jump in your opinion? Michael Penix for the offense or those two first round, Pierce and Walker? Because like you mentioned, people talk about all these teams' flaws. You've had the worst pass rush in 2019. You had 7 sacks on third down all year. In the National Football League, you had 7.
Yeah, absolutely horrendous.
Which in your opinion, because all three of them essentially are rookies, even though Michael Penix is going in the year 2. Who has to make the biggest jump? Because if Michael Penix is lighting it up, but the defense can't get off the field on third down, or the defense can get off the field on third down, and Michael Penix is looking like a rookie, who do you think is going to have the biggest, growing pains come 2025?
I think the quarterback's the most valuable position in football, so you default to Penix, and I think just more consistency in that area. And Kirk Cousins, because of the mobility, he co-led the NFL in interceptions. So say what you will about the defense, but if the defense is out on the field, in opponent territory, start a ton of drives because Kirk Cousins co-led the NFL in interceptions, like that's not complimentary football, to use a football coach cliche. So I would say even Penix just being a solid caretaker of the football, allowing Bijan Robinson, who was top 5 in rushing yards, rushing touchdowns last season, allowing him to kind of be the focal point of the offense, and then hitting Drake London, Kyle Pitts, other guys, Ray McLeod, speedster there, could be a huge benefit for the Falcons. Those 2 rookie edge rushers, Pierce and Walker, yeah, you're right. They're probably going to have growing pains, but I believe Atlanta's defense was in somewhere between 15 and early 20s in defense. So if they make a marginal jump with a quarterback that takes much better care of the football and can actually scare defenses in terms of running play action and being able to move around in the pocket and avoid sacks, I think that could be a huge game changer for Atlanta. So I'd say Penix because, people talk about one of Tom Brady's best traits. They talk about a lot of things like the intangibles, experience, knows where everyone's going to be all the time, but sack avoidance, getting the ball out, not getting sacked. Kirk Cousins, he was a statue back there. No fault to his own. He's coming off an Achilles tear in his mid-30s. So I think someone who could even just avoid sacks a little bit better would be a big plus for Atlanta this season.
And as we switch from the NFC South, Garrett, to some of the other teams here in the NFC, a team that I just cannot figure out, and maybe you can help me on this, and this might be a hint to where I'm going in with my tiers later. Seattle is an interesting one with Sam Darnold out there in the Pacific Northwest. I so badly want this team to be in the playoffs in 2020. I'm trying to figure out a way where I can get them in there. Rams are going to compete for this division. The Niners have the easiest schedule since sliced bread has come out. They're going to be favored, I think, in 15 of their 17 games, most likely. And the Cardinals, they're better. They're taking a step, and Walter Nolan, Jonathan Gannon has that defense rolling. I want to like the Seattle Seahawks squad. But there's a lot of question marks, in my opinion, in Seattle. But they've got a lot of good pieces in a team that is very frisky and a team no one I think is going to want to play against if they're hitting on all cylinders.
That's a good point there. Seattle, it all comes down to, I think, their offensive line and Sam Darnold, because, it's incredible Sam Darnold even hit free agency because throwing for 35 touchdowns, making a Pro Bowl. He was, the most touchdown passes thrown in a season to then be allowed to walk in free agency in a long time. And the big thing for me, though, is how are they going to play up front for him? Because as we saw, when Sam Darnold faces pressure, he short circuits. He took 9
we saw it in Carolina. He's not good.
Well, Darnold took 9 sacks in Minnesota's playoff game against the Rams, which was tied for the most sacks taken by a quarterback ever in a single playoff game. And so that really came down to he kind of got spooked just by the Rams' relentless pass rush. They do have a great pass rush, but 9 sacks, it's horrible. So that's why Seattle drafted Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State, FCS All-American, to come in at left guard in round 1. And I think they made a couple other O-line ads this offseason as well on the interior, because I think their interior line pass quarterback pressure rate allowed for their guards was the worst in football last season. So I think it's going to come down to how well do they protect Sam Darnold, and that's going to be everything, because they brought in Clint Kubiak to be the OC. So he's going to be running an offense he's comfortable in, the Shanahan system. That's what Kevin O'Connell runs. That's what he ran for Kyle Shanahan as Brock Purdy's backup 2 years ago on the 49ers. So familiar stuff schematically. They got him Cooper Kupp, Marquez Valdez-Scantling as a number 3 deep threat, and then Jackson Smith and Jigbo just had a 100-catch season. So he's got the tools there to throw to. Can they protect him, and will he be okay kind of with their protection? I think that's the biggest thing. If they block it up and protect, they could challenge for the division, because Mike McDonald, he's a great defensive mind, and he had Seattle's defense playing way better ball. I mean, they were a bottom 5 defense when he took over as head coach. They were like middle of the pack last year. So, and they could get even better. They've got some young contributors. Byron Murphy, their D tackle, was a former first-round pick. They're in their secondary. They've got some strong players, young players as well. So I could see them contending for a wild card spot, but it's going to come down to protecting Sam Darnold.
And even with that, I mean, when I think about Seattle, Garrett, I think about even though he's in, Las Vegas now, the culture that was built, with the previous, organization, and now, Coach Carroll, he's over there in Vegas, and people saying, dude, what is Seattle now? Because we so many years removed from the Legion of Boom, and I get it with beast mode and Russell Wilson. I've been on 3 teams since he's left Seattle. You mentioned if they can block it up for Sam Darnold. Now, Sam Darnold had about as good of a outlier year as you're going to have in Minnesota. No one saw him doing that.
I mean, he had the best supporting cast. Jefferson,
exactly.
Madison, Aaron Jones, Hawkinson, the coach of the year as his play caller. I mean, that's arguably the best supporting offensive ecosystem in the NFL, to your point, Ben.
Yeah, I'm just saying, when it comes to a Seattle, what is it going to be? Is it going to be, like you say, the health of Sam Darnold? Is it just going to be the gauntlet of that division? San Francisco is going to be playing very inspired / very favorable schedules. Arizona got Kyler Murray talking about people trying to talk about like I'm not a good player. No one ever said you were a good player. They never said you never took that next leap. And obviously there's a team that just won't go away with the Rams. Like, they just won't go away. If Seattle can indeed keep Sam Darnold healthy, if this new cast of receivers can come together, Kenneth Walker, he ain't top 5, but he's a top 15 running back if they give him the ball consistent. Noah Fant is no slouch at tight end. Is it Sam Darnold, as you mentioned, with his health, or is it just, man, I don't know if Seattle can keep pace in just their division. This is Winning the Division podcast, to where you either win the division or end the division. You mentioned a wild card spot. That wild card could get real tricky, because you're going to have a lot of teams that's not going to win their division, but going to be real, real good. Can Sam Darnold do it back-to-back seasons on 2 different teams?
I mean, I'm just going to go back to offensive line. Can they block him up? I think Clint Kubiak, he's done a great job of putting quarterbacks, the way they have the footwork in that system. It's fantastic. Where pretty much all the quarterback in these LaFleur, McVay, Shanahan systems, they come out of their drop, and based on the route concepts, their incredible route design, guys just got to point and throw a lot of times in that system. So, yeah, I think as long as Sam Darnold has time, he's a solid quarterback. But when Sam Darnold doesn't have time, he's like a bottom 10 quarterback in football. So he's the ultimate Jekyll and Hyde, in my opinion, in the NFL, pressured versus not pressured. No one is a better quarterback when they're pressured, but the splits are massive when he's not protected. And so, yeah, if that interior, the O-line can hold up, I think they can push the Rams. But if not, and Gray Zabel, plays like a rookie in 2025, then it could be a really long year for Sam in Seattle.
I want to talk Chicago. That people are on this hype train of Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, and I'm not a hater. I'm really not. I like Ben Johnson. I enjoyed him in Detroit. All
right, drop the bomb when you start your lead in it. I'm not a hater. Let's get to it.
Let's go. Okay. All right. I think he hasn't proven whether he can be a good NFL head coach. We know he's a good play caller, but can he be a good NFL coach? There's a difference. You're in charge of a lot more than just X's and O's now. And the Chicago Bears, yes, they've got a lot of offensive talent, and their defense is mostly young and upcoming. But are we sure they're not going to finish fourth again in this division? Are we sure they're not going to just be the same Chicago Bears? Caleb Williams looks a little better with better offensive play calling, with the name's escaping me right now with the new offensive coordinator that Ben Johnson hired. But I get the hype, but then again, I don't. I mean, there's going to be a learning curve. There's going to be some adjustments, and I don't think the Bears are going to be this high-flying offense that people think Ben Johnson is just going to come in and be this. They're just going to take the division, and Lions are just going to take a step back, and the Minnesota Vikings all of a sudden forgot how to play football. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I don't know if you can for sure pencil him in for fourth because, I mean, you just mentioned the Lions. I mean, Frank Ragnow, he retired today. I heard you talking about it earlier. But if you look at the expected points added per play with Frank Ragnow on the field when Ben Johnson was the OC in Detroit, so since 2022, the Lions were a top 3 offense. When he wasn't on the field, that number dropped to like 22nd or 23rd in the league. And so, and Ben, you were talking about earlier, center, you need that smartest dude on the field and things like that. So not only did they lose, and then they lost both their coordinators, Ben Johnson, who we're about to talk about in Chicago, and Aaron Glenn, who's now the head coach in New York. So 2 new coordinators, turnover on the offensive line, a secondary that they did sign DJ Reed from the Jets, but that is really young outside of DJ Reed at the cornerback position. Safeties, they're locked down at safety with Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, but at corner, still really young and kind of inexperienced there. Terry Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw, he was hurt a lot this past year. So the second round pick, he didn't really play. So he's kind of still a rookie. They could easily take a step back. Now as for Ben Johnson, his new spot with the Bears, offensive line, they upgraded a bunch with Drew Dahlman, who Ben's probably familiar with, who was one of the top 5 highest graded centers by Pro Football Focus, was stolen away in free agency. They traded for All-Pro Joe Tooney, who was a first-team All-Pro while playing left guard, and at the end of the year, left tackle. He'll be a guard for Chicago. And so they really reinforced their offensive line there, which is huge for Caleb Williams. Took 68 sacks, tied for the 3rd most in a season in NFL history. Now, that's not all on their offensive line. Caleb Williams, one of the 5 longest average times to throw. It was like 3.15 seconds, which that sounds short for the casual viewer, but as Ben would say, 3.5 seconds, quarterback holding the ball, that's a long time. So that was his average time to throw. So I think the biggest question is, can Ben Johnson kind of coax some of the bad habits out of Caleb Williams that he built his rookie year, in which Caleb, in a interview or reporting from ESPN's Seth Wickersham, he didn't really have any hands-on offensive coaching as a rookie. So it's going to be really interesting, and it's all going to come down to early on just Ben Johnson kind of giving Caleb Williams a reset, and can those habits kind of be corrected, and will he be okay with taking the easy play, the check down, throwing the ball away, and realize this isn't USC. I can't, hold the ball forever and run around all day and still make a play 10 yards down the field. So I think it's going to come down to that. But I think the Detroit Lions, after today's news, could be, a little bit worse than some people anticipate. And then also Minnesota, we have no idea what J.J. McCarthy's going to be. He tore his meniscus in the preseason last year. Like, everyone's saying, oh, yeah, like the Vikings, I said earlier, they do have the best offensive ecosystem, the best supporting cast, but we don't know what J.J. McCarthy's going to be. And when he was in college at Michigan, a lot of that was on the run game, and he made some clutch throws for sure, but the offense was not on his right arm in college. So it will be very interesting to see his NFL transition.
Yeah, for the record, I do think Minnesota could be either the best fourth place team in this division and of all the league, of all teams that finish fourth place, or they could be, right on that fringe wild card. Yeah, you don't know what you're going to get with JJ McCarthy. But with Chicago, I guess to your point, yes, I hear that with the Lions. I hear that with the Vikings. I just can't see them finishing higher than third in this division. Maybe not fourth, but higher than third.
We'll see that. I mean, year to year, we never know. Every year since 1990, there's been at least 4 new playoff teams in the NFL. So teams come out of nowhere. I mean, if we went back to one of these episodes a year ago, would we have Washington in the playoffs and making this the NFC title game? Probably not. You never know.
Yeah. I mean, as Ben knows, my Panthers start in Jacksonville this year. And last time we started in Jacksonville, that was the 2015 15-1 Cam Newton MVP season. Panthers went to the Super Bowl. And then time before that was in 2003, Jake Delhomme, Super Bowl, lost to New England. So the Panthers start in Jacksonville, something weird tends to happen. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Our backup podcast definitely gonna be called "We're Not Superstitious," because when it comes to football, we are super. I mean, we only remember the things that benefit us, though. Not whatever I was eating when we lost, I can't eat that again. Hopefully, it wasn't something I really really like. But I got to ask you this, Garrett, about Caleb Williams. Saw him at Oklahoma. Right? Comes in against Texas. The rest is history. Then he follows his head coach out to USC, wins the Heisman. But he played longer than that Heisman year. It's the next year when people are like, dude, what is Caleb doing? We knew he was going to be the number 1 overall pick. We see him on Hard Knocks. And every day they doing the slip and slides. Everything is all good with Caleb. Yeah. But you never saw a coach him hard. You never saw a coach go, Caleb, what are you doing? Do you think he can handle a Ben Johnson coaching style that's going to say, look, man, I came from a program in Detroit where we coach these guys hard. And it started with the head coach. I was an OC. And Caleb Williams got books coming out talking about he didn't want to go to Chicago. Like, is Caleb Williams focused on football, or is Caleb Williams focused on being an image, or in like, because we live in a world now to where it's all about branding, all about image, all about perception or reputation. Can Ben Johnson tell Caleb, hey, listen, you're the number 1 overall pick. What else do you want? It doesn't get higher than that. Can you put the ego to the side, put the distractions to the side? No one cares about you being the first 4,000-yard passing quarterback. We've never had a 4,000. Who cares? Who cares if you pass for 4K and you outside looking in? Can Caleb Williams just focus on being a quarterback for the Chicago Bears this year?
Well, I want to go back to some of the things you said about his last year in college. I think it's worth pointing out the USC offensive line his last year there, his junior year, was bad. And to your point, Lincoln Riley kind of just let Caleb freestyle, I think, because of that. I think Lincoln Riley has shown kind of last few years that he kind of lets his skill position players kind of YOLO ball out there and let's see what happens. So, but then in the NFL, to your point, he hasn't been coached hard, but I think he'll be open to it because he doesn't want to waste his career. He just took 68 sacks last year doing it his way. I feel like that's enough of a wake-up call to say, yeah, I want to succeed. I want to win. I want to play in the playoffs and do all those things, because you talk about branding, and he had awesome NIL deals at USC and great name, image, and likeness, endorsements, all that, number 1 pick. But even more of that stuff comes when you win. I mean, look at Patrick Mahomes. He famously didn't do any endorsements till after he won his first Super Bowl. In terms of really being big image wise. And now he's in all these commercials. We see him every other NFL Sunday commercial break on State Farm. You win, you get to have those things. So I think Caleb Williams understands that. And I think he wants to be coached hard because, I mean, in that ESPN piece where he was complaining about the coaching, he was saying, man, I wish I had a coach who sat in with me in the film room and told me X, Y, Z. I wish I kind of had more input from my coaching staff. So those comments from that ESPN article, in which kind of trashed the Bears, but then in a roundabout way said, but I want to still be here. I think that indicated he just wants to win. And so I would take it as he's open to being coached. And that's certainly something Ben Johnson showed he did in Detroit. He helped revive Jared Goff's career and get Jared Goff back to playing Pro Bowl level football.
I want to hit the NFC East since we've hit the other three divisions a little bit. And we can kind of do some Ben, whatever you want to say after me. And then I want to play some rapid fire with you, Garrett, kind of lightning round, if you will, before we kind of get you out of here. And we'll obviously tell people where to find you too. The Giants, I know they're not going to be good. We all probably think that's going to happen, probably a reality. But the Giants have some players. Until the schedule came out, I said, okay, are the Giants going to be third or are they going to be fourth? Like, I mean, I know they're not going to be probably first, but like they have.
I'm comfortable with you putting the Sharpie on them in fourth. We were talking about today. I'm cool with it.
All right. I mean, but the schedule just solidified it for me. I mean, it is a tough schedule. I mean, I think like 6 out of the first 8 games, I think, is against playoff teams from a year ago, and not just playoff.
Yeah, they have to play the NFC North, and the NFC North had 3 playoff teams last year. And then the 2 NFC finalists are also in their division. So, yeah, they have a brutal schedule. But
my question is this. Does Brian Daboll, who is a really good coach, what does he have to do to save his job?
Whoa. Did you just say Brian Daboll is a really good coach?
X's and O's, Ben. The offense calling the plays.
He is the 2022 coach.
I'm just listen. If you try to tell me you finna get a job with the Giants, you can say that because when you use words like really good coach.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Like, you talking about his whole career?
Garrett did back me up. 2022 Coach of the Year, Daniel Jones in the playoffs, lost to the Vikings and Kirk Cousins.
Look, winning a playoff game with Daniel Jones on the road as your starting quarterback, that's impressive. But hasn't done anything since then. But I'd say it's kind of more on the roster building.
You're right. But here's my question. How can John Mara and the ownership there in Giants, how can Joe Shane and Daboll convince them that they need another year after this brutal schedule is done? Is it starting Jackson Dart after like the first 8 games? Is it just riding the Jackson Dart wave? How can Daboll and Shane get another year in New York? Because they can't be happy with this schedule. They can't be happy with kind of what their hands.
I think you kind of alluded to it. It's just simply, Russell Wilson's going to start the year. They've been very clear about that. But I think second half of the season, Jackson Dart coming in and showing promise, and Daboll showing, okay, we have something here, and I can, in my scheme, show that we have something here with Jackson Dart. I mean, they have 2 guys coming into year 2, Tyrone Tracy and Malik Neighbors. Both were over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. And they're one of only 3 or 4 rookie teammates to both be over 1,000 yards from scrimmage in their rookie seasons. And so that's, some nice skill position building blocks you have there. They did upgrade the offensive line this offseason. So I think, it's just showing that Dart has something and that they can at least make him indicate that there's signs of potential there, because I think it's very clear, unless Dak Prescott gets hurt again, that they're going to be the worst team in this division. And so, you just have to be able to say with a straight face, we have this development plan going forward, and we have glimmers of hope here. I mean, defensively, they've got an awesome defensive line, probably one of the best ones in football. They drafted number 3 overall pick Abdul Carter, who's the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, All-American, and they added him to Pro Bowl defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence, Pro Bowl edge rusher Brian Burns, and another former top 5 pick edge rusher in Kayvon Thibodeau. So that's an awesome D-line. So at worst, and then they upgraded the secondary. They signed Jalen Phillips from the Miami Dolphins to come in at safety, and they signed Paulson Adebo, who was solid before getting hurt with the New Orleans Saints. Their defense could actually be pretty good. And so it's just if their offense, which is Daboll's side of the ball, can show some kind of development and growth, I think that's how he keeps his job. But strong defense, and then, trending in the right direction offensively.
So you're saying that Malik Neighbors going to be Odell Beckham 2.0, going to be putting up crazy dumb numbers.
Well, you talked about Brock Bowers earlier. Malik Neighbors, he had, I think, 112 catches last year. If not for Brock Bowers, he would be the rookie receptions all-time leader. So he had the second best rookie catches season ever last year. That kind of slides under the radar. And he actually sent the Giants, not just rookie, but like overall New York Giants ever most catches in a single season ever, record last year. But no one talks about it because the Giants were terrible. And Brock Bowers had like 2 or 3 more catches than Malik Neighbors. But yeah, Malik Neighbors is going to be awesome. He's going to be awesome.
I mean, the thing about the Giants, I always look at the team and what is our identity as a team, and what is your identity within this division? The Eagles, you talk about reload. Good Lord. I mean, no Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Who cares, right? We good in the back end. You listen. What people forget about this Giants team when you talk about the Eagles or Cowboys or Commanders is you taking so many steps back, and these other teams are taking so many steps forward. It's so many. You can put yourself 5-10 years behind the 8 ball because it's like you hope Jackson Dart, because of what Jaden Daniels did, looks like that. He don't got to be the rookie of the year. And I want him to look like that, even though that's unfair to Jackson Dart. You hoping that Abdul Carter and Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns could be your old NASCAR package with, Michael Strahan and Justin Tuck and, Jason Pierre-Paul and all these guys. But then the biggest hole in football is always going to be your quarterback position. What if Russell Wilson plays well? Which means Jackson Dart.
Well, that's a win also for Dable, saying, look, I can get Russell Wilson to play well after he kind of faded down the stretch for the Steelers. So that's still a win regardless. But, it's going to be tough for them this year. Division. Dallas, they added who I cover in person here, living in the Dallas area. They added George Pickens. Dak at OTAs, hamstrings fully healed. He's moving around, throwing the ball well. CeeDee Lamb, his shoulder, he had an AC joint injury at the end of the year, knocked him out. He's looking good, and everyone's present offensively at OTAs. And if there's good health on defense, especially in the back end, which is kind of iffy to start the year, if it comes in later, they could be a solid team and maybe contend for a wild card spot for sure.
Wait a minute. So are you saying, Garrett, that when Michael Parsons said that the best GM in football is Jerry Jones?
He's trying to get a contract.
I was going to say he's on the podcast trying to get his contract.
I'm just saying
he's trying to get paid right now.
I'm just saying, love his podcast. I get it, but I go when Micah says something, I go, Micah, we can hear you. Like you're not talking in the mirror in your bathroom. You're saying this. Your producer goes, "We're going to send this." Yeah, I just said it. You just said
Micah Parsons is a great media personality. I love seeing him in the locker room. When it's his time to talk during the week, me and other media members, we walk up like this because we know we can ask him anything and he won't no comment anything. He will answer every question and say his mind, exactly what's on it, not too much of a filter. But that makes him, the most engaging interview in the Cowboys locker room and why we love him so much. And so as in the media, and yeah, I understand he may think that, but that's his personal experience because he's only ever played with the Cowboys. But he's a phenomenal player, only player in the NFL since sacks began getting tracked in 1982 to have at least 12 sacks in each of his first 4 seasons in the league. And when he came back from his ankle injury in week 10 through the end of the season, so basically the whole second half of the season, he led the NFL in sacks and quarterback pressures weeks 10 through 18 last year. So as long as he's on the field, he's right. He's going to be dominant and one of the best players in football. And so, yeah, in terms of the contract, I wouldn't expect any real smoke on that until right around training camp beginning in July, just because of how Jerry Jones works. And deadlines make deals in Dallas. So I wouldn't expect any contract news about that until around late July.
Well, before we end with a little lightning round, Garrett, I just wanted to give you the opportunity in your we mentioned some of the teams in your article and around the NFC as we're going to be doing our tiers here in a few minutes. Is there a team that you wanted to kind of shout out and talk about? It can be Dallas. We all know about Dallas. I tried to let you maybe do that since you're in Texas. But is there a team that you wanted to talk about that we maybe just haven't mentioned tonight and getting some love? Maybe it could be a surprise in the NFL season, or just a team that maybe going a little bit under too much under the radar in the NFC as we kind of start the OTAs and minicamps.
It's a solid question, Ryan. And I would like to talk about the Green Bay Packers because each of the 2 years under Jordan Love, the Packers have been the youngest team in football. Each of those 2 years, they've made the playoffs. And these last two teams they've had, the 2023 Packers and the 2024 Packers, are the two youngest teams to make the playoffs in the last 45 years. And I think they could take a real leap this year, year two, under defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley. They were a top 10 scoring defense in his first years to DC last year. I think they were number 6 scoring defense. And I liked the signing they had of Nate Hobbs, who's a versatile piece, can play in the slot corner. So that could shore up their secondary, where at corner they've been thin when Jair Alexander's had some injuries in the past, but he's still on the roster. So they could be a strong defense again this year. And I think offensively, Jordan Love's receivers had the most drops in football, highest drop rate this past season. And then even though the counting numbers weren't maybe as good as 2023, some of the advanced analytics are still really strong with Jordan Love. And if you turn on the tape, incredible ball placement into some really tight windows. And so his development has been strong. And I think getting Matthew Golden, who was the fastest wide receiver at this year's combine, and adding him to the Packers young wide receiver mix, also kind of a do-it-all Swiss Army knife receiver, and TCU's Savion Williams, a third-round pick who lined up at Wildcat quarterback, running back, and receiver at TCU. He's 6'4", 222. He's kind of a physical freak. I think adding those two to his pass-catching arsenal, and tight end Tucker Kraft was kind of a breakout player for them last year. I think the Packers could really maybe contend for the NFC North title and be an NFC contender this year, especially with Detroit probably maybe even taking a small step backwards.
I do not disagree with anything you just said.
The only thing I want to say about Green Bay is this: Can we keep Josh Jacobs from talking bad about his receiving core? Like,
hey, that led to the Packers taking 2 receivers in the first 3 rounds.
I'm just
Josh
saying,
Jacobs got what he wanted.
No, I'm just saying. He said, "Listen, man, we don't got guys that can really." I'm just paraphrasing. They can't really take the top off. And let me say this, kid, because you know, with you being in the media, do you like when players like Josh Jacobs are just being? They ain't being malicious. He's being honest. Like, look, I'm not here to put bulletin board material. Do you like the honesty of these players now? Do you think sometimes they go, the PR guys going, dude, like, I want you to be you, but perception is going to kill us because it's going to get back to those guys.
I mean, look, like if I'm writing an article about the Packers wide receivers, I could pull up the stats and show, look, drop rate, highest in the NFL. And things like that. And then being able to slide in a Josh Jacobs quote that perfectly aligns with the numbers. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that if what he was saying was based in reality. I feel like, you're a former player, Ben, so I understand, maybe not want to hurt people's feelings in the locker room, but Josh Jacobs, he's one of their leaders. And so if he thinks his young wide receiver core needed a kick in the behind to lock in and reduce that drop rate, that was totally fair. I mean, the Packers young wide receivers hadn't really earned the right to not be talked about that way just yet. So, and also GM Brian Gutekunst similarly said, we really need a higher sense of urgency from our receiving core this year. So that's the GM, he's not being as direct as Jacobs. Yeah. But I think organizationally, all the comments are aligning with what Jacobs is saying. So in his specific case, I don't think he was out of line. All he was doing was saying reality. I mean, if there's a disgruntled wide receiver saying, I ain't getting enough targets from my quarterback, I mean, that's, he said situation. But what Jacobs was saying, there's real numbers to back that up. And organizationally, it's clear that the Packers front office feels the same way. So I don't think any of the and if any Packers wide receivers took it personally, Josh Jacobs, a vet and a captain in that locker room, he was probably like, good, play better. I mean, Jacobs was a top 5 running back this past year. He's like, I did my job. Let's see you guys do your job. I mean, they were hanging in that Eagles game the fourth quarter. Jordan Love threw a couple passes. They converted a few more third downs. It was 16-10 at the start of the fourth quarter. They could have won that game. They didn't, but they easily could have if they'd made a few more plays. So I don't mind it. And you're asking me from a media perspective, do I wish they were less honest? No. Give me more. Give me more honesty. I mean, that's more fun. And also, like, it's way easier to write stories about that than dude said, just looking to play better next week. What does that do for me? I mean, and what does that do for fans who want to connect with players? That's a robot. People don't want to hear from robots. They want to hear from people. Let people be people.
I know I'm with it. No, I don't know. I'm just asking because I enjoyed it because I think as a former player, sometimes, you know, we do a disservice to our teammates because we know it's a glaring hole. And people go, oh man, we're gonna be fine. It's gonna be all right. And then Josh is like, no, because good teams become great teams when good players become great players in the moment. You don't got to be a great player but I need you to make wild plays when we need it. Josh Jacobs is about as rock solid. I'm looking at his stats. I'm like, oh, he's been about as rock solid as a player can be as far as the run. So he's earned his stripes to say it. And like you say, is any of the receivers going to really run up on him in the locker room? No. Hey, Josh.
They're all like in their low 20s. So, yeah. They're all on their rookie deals. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
He's kind of the vet in the room, for sure.
Well, Garrett, you have been so great. Let's get you out of here with just a mini lightning round. Before I do that, where can people find your work on CBS Sports, and where can they connect with you?
Yeah, anyone can find my written stuff, cbssports.com, hit the NFL tab. I'm on Twitter at Garrett Podell, GarrettPodell. Post all my stuff there, and those will probably be the two main places to find me. All my other social media handles, same thing, first name, last name, all one word. And and I do some broadcast work for our 24/7 streaming channel, CBS Sports HQ, as well as the local CBS affiliate here in Dallas, CBS Channel 11. So in any of those places, come on down and let's have some fun.
Yeah. Well, Garrett, let me get you out of here on this, play a little lightning round with you. We're going to be doing NFC tiers here in just a second for this week. And so how I kind of did this last week with Ben was I said we had like the bad, just really bad teams in one tier. That's tier 1. Tier 2 is kind of like middle of the pack, you know, maybe 500, but just kind of middle of the pack. They're there. And then we have like winning the division, wild card teams. And then last week for the AFC, I said kind of the Kansas City tier, the Super Bowl tier. For the NFC, I'll say the Eagles tier, the kind of the Super Bowl tier. So kind of get you out with this question. Where do you rank? Give us your NFC tiers according to Garrett Podell for the 2025 season. I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but you can do it however you'd like. For 2025, where do you see kind of the NFC tier looking like for this year?
Okay, so we have like true Super Bowl contender. That's like Eagles division. Can you remind me the middle tier, what that was called?
Yeah, so tier, well, actually, we'll go from worst to first.
Okay,
so tier 1 is kind of like is bad. We're just bad teams.
Okay, so let's do the bad teams first. Okay, so like teams that could be bad. New Orleans Saints, that's going to be their quarterback situation. Ugly.
Awful.
Old defensive players on that side in New Orleans and no cap space in 2026. That's going to be really ugly. New York Giants, like they're not going to be maybe horrible. I think they're decently talented, but they're going to be a fourth place team. So I guess we'd throw any fourth place team with the exception maybe the NFC North, who had 3 playoff teams a year ago in this. So Giants, let's see.
To be clear, you don't have to have anybody else. It could just be those 2 teams. It doesn't have to be all 4th-place teams.
So I'm looking, those would probably be the really, truly ugly teams. I'm thinking of the 4 NFC divisions. Yeah, I would say Giants, Saints. And, yeah, I don't know that anyone else is true. Oh. Like, I'm disgusted. Right.
Yeah. Tier 2, middle of the pack. I'm talking like 7-10, 6-11, 5-12. Yeah. Maybe you could throw in 8-9 with our NFC South compadres here. You know, middle of the pack, just kind of
Okay, I would say Arizona Cardinals, Carolina Panthers. I think the Carolina Panthers are going to be a higher end of this tier, but I think they're
that's fair. That's
kind
fair.
of around 500.
That's fair.
I would say the 49ers is really interesting to me because it kind of is like I have no idea if Christian McCaffrey is going to play or not. He played 4 games last year after being the NFL Offensive Player of the Year in 2023. Yeah. So, I mean, I'd put the 49ers in here just because we have no idea what they're going to get from McCaffrey, and I think that's kind of how their offense goes, whether he's out there or not. I'd put Seattle in this tier. I would put Probably, honestly, the rest of the NFC South, Atlanta and Tampa Bay in this tier. Tampa Bay, they're on their third consecutive new OC in the Baker Mayfield's tenure. He's never had the same OC come back all these years. But offensively, they can still be pretty good. Levante David is still in the middle of that defense. He's 35. He's superhuman, but at some point there might be some slippage. But, the NFC South division winner is usually around 8, 9, 10 wins. Anyways, I think the Buccaneers won 10 games last year. So I guess that puts them in this tier. I would put the Chicago Bears in this middle tier. Detroit Lions, put them in this tier. Chicago Bears, put them in this tier. Because you said 10 wins is still in this tier, right?
Middle of the pack, kind of
Okay, I'll throw those teams in there. NFC East, I guess if 10 wins is in there, I'd throw the Cowboys into the middle. I'd say that's it for me.
And then tier 3, short of the Super Bowl.
Also the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, you said that one. Yeah. Okay. Tier 3.
Now we're true contenders, right? True contenders.
Yeah, tier 3. Well, I should have said 3 tiers. I really said 4, but tier 3 was more division winners, kind of. Okay. If it's in a really good division, then wild card team. But true division winners in tier 3.
Okay, so I would put,
but not necessarily Super Bowl either.
I'd put Washington in this tier. I think they could contend for the NFC East, but I think they'll be wild card. I can see Jane Daniels kind of having a similar year 2 to CJ Stroud and still being decent, but not lighting it up as much as he did as a rookie. Now that he's got a year of film on him. And also Deebo Samuel, he's the number 2 wide receiver. I mean, he was acquired for a 5th-round pick. I don't know how much juice Deebo Samuel has left. So I'm gonna put, and then, Zach Ertz, who's his tight end, awesome, but into his mid-30s another year. So I'd put Washington in this tier. I would put, I'm thinking of the teams we have left here.
Green Bay.
I think Green Bay can be a contender in the NFC. So I honestly would say Green Bay, Philadelphia,
and the Rams.
I put the Rams in this division winner tier.
Okay, so then that leaves in the 4th Super Bowl Eagles tier, essentially the Eagles and the Packers, based on your. Okay.
Rams to me are very close to sliding in up to there. For me, I'm just kind of interested to see how Matthew Stafford is another year into his career. Last year was really healthy, and then the 2 years prior he had some major injury stuff going on there. And also in the Rams secondary at corner, I don't know how I feel about their corner group. They really are reliant on their pass rush, which has a lot of young, fun guys, to get home consistently. But if that group does not, those corners could get picked on.
Awesome. Well, Garrett, it's been so great to have you on here on Winning the Division. Great insight as always. Again, check them out, cbssports.com. Pro Football Writers, Garrett, Podell, and we'll have to have you back on again. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, guys.
Appreciate it.
And that was Garrett Podell giving us his tiers right as we start into NFC tiers, Ben. As we wrap this show up, I'll just go ahead. I think I'm almost in lockstep with Garrett for the most part. Let's start with tier 4, the bad and not so good. I think Giants and Saints are my 2 as well. Both those teams going to compete for the top of the number 1 pick in 2026. These 2 teams are not going to be good.
I would add the Cardinals too for this reason. I know that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be. He had like 900 yards, but it was underwhelming, like 800 or some yards. And I know people they'll talk about Larry Fitzgerald being a mentor. They're like, well, he's Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, I'm pretty sure his daddy, even though they're a different body style and kind of receiver, daddy was more like smaller, more like leaner, and obviously because he's gotten bigger. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. put on some muscle, but I just think that from that division standpoint, I got the Cardinals being bad. They're gonna be exciting in some games, but they're gonna still have a bad record. So I got Saints, Giants, and Cardinals.
Okay, I'll stick with the Saints and the Giants. All right, in the tier 3 is kind of just middle of the pack, kind of Ben, like we did with the AFC last week, we can do a quick kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, prediction, kind of like we did for AFC last week, just kind of a May, well, in this case, June prediction. Again, this free to change come August after some games and injuries and whatnot. My tier here is going to be the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Falcons, the Bears in Dallas. That's a big tier.
My middle is gonna be Seattle. It's gonna be, I think it's gonna be the Falcons. It's gonna be the Bears. I think it's gonna be the Cowboys too. I like what the Cowboys have done, but I've just seen this. I've heard this song. I've seen this movie so many times, Smitty. Right? Yep. Oh, Dak done lost a lot of weight. You give him a guy, George Pickens, Michael Parsons, trying to be the number one sports podcast. It's too much about non-football stuff mixed in with football stuff. It's like you're tasting a Dallas Cowboys soup and going, what is this? Hey, man, this is our soup of the day. We can't really tell you what it is, but it is edible. Nope. I like, I think the Cowboys and the Falcons, the Bears, and Seattle is in my middle of the pack.
All right, tier 2 is wild card teams, fringe wild card teams, or division winners. I've got the San Francisco 49ers and the LA Rams in this tier. I'm not sure about either one being a Super Bowl contender quite yet, especially the Rams. The Niners, just because their schedule is why I have them here. In the South, I've got both the Panthers and the Bucs here. Panthers definitely prefer wild card for me, I think, and Bucs still winning the division until somebody knocks them off. And then I've got the Vikings and I've got the Packers here as well. I still think the Lions, with these losses, that roster is still strong, so I can't quite put them in this second tier. I think I'm going to still have them in my top tier. So I got the Packers and Vikings in this tier, and then the Commanders in tier 2 as well.
Yeah, and this is the divisional one, right? This tier 3.
Yeah.
I got the Commanders. I got Green Bay. I got the Rams. I got the Vikings. I got the Panthers. And I got the 49ers. But I also got the Lions for this reason, Smitty. I don't think it's the roster. It's hard to stay up that high that long. Like, dude, we have been elite the last couple of years. We have not been good. Like, we're best record in the NFC, depending on us and the Eagles. Got to come through Detroit. Sometimes it's just that fatigue of, dude, we got to do it again and do it again and do it again. I'm not saying they can't. It's like the Super Bowl hangover. Dude, it's so hard to get back to that. So for me, like I said, Washington, Green Bay, the Rams, the Vikings, Panthers, 49ers, and the Lions, which I got them all because they easily win the division to be wild cards. But yeah.
Did you have the Bucs in there too?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Also, and that's just from respectability. Like, I think the Bucs got the best culture in the South. They don't got the best team. They've done it so much to where, hey, dude, we done figured out how to get this thing done, whether ugly, because they weren't supposed to win the freaking South last year. Thanks a lot, Kirk Cousins. Anyway, they wasn't supposed to win it, but they ended up winning. So that's more of a longevity, respectability type thing from the Bucs.
So that means in the Super Bowl Eagles tier, you have just the Philadelphia Eagles in there as a league of their own, and I have the Lions in there with the Eagles for me.
I can also kind of put the Rams in there for this reason too. Matthew Stafford has won a Super Bowl with the team he's currently with.
Yep.
And I think having him back, listen, no one's talking about this. Matthew Stafford did the same freaking thing Myles Garrett did. He know he's not leaving. I'm going to hit for. No, you're not. Like, come on. You wasn't leaving. He know the system. They gave him Devontae Adams. And, like, no one's talking. No, Devontae Adams is not the player he used to be. But back in California, winning organization, no craziness. He don't live with his quarterback because I think he might have stayed at Aaron Rodgers' house last year. No, dude, you get your own house. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I do like the Rams. I do like the Eagles. And if there was an outlier, and I'm saying this begrudgingly, if the 49ers, because of the schedule, can get in there. I can have them a potential, but I just think that you're gonna have to go through Philly, to win it, and it's gonna be hard to do that.
Well, let's get a quick as we close out here. Let's get our quick June predictions for Division 1 through 4. Again, like the AFC, we're not going to do records, just quick 1 through 4 for every division. And again, people, this is June. This is probably going to change in August, most likely. This is just a kind of quick synopsis based on our tiers. Or maybe not based on our tiers, because I just because you have someone in the Super Bowl tier doesn't mean they still might not win their division. They could be a wild card team depending on how good that division is. So just keep that in mind with this. All right, NFC East. I have the Eagles winning their division in first place. I've got the Washington Commanders coming in at second. I've got the Cowboys in third and the Giants in fourth. Pretty chalk.
Yeah, that's chalk. Unless Dallas do something ignorant, which they can. I got them finishing third. I got the Giants finishing fourth. Washington, just like last year. Yeah, give me Dallas, Washington. Give me Eagles, Washington, Dallas, and the Giants. Yep.
NFC South, I've got the Bucks currently finishing first, and currently, again, until my Panthers or your Falcons can knock them off, I've got the Bucks finishing in first again. I've got my Panthers stunning everybody and going to second in this division. Falcons in third, and then the Saints way behind in fourth.
I got your Panthers winning the South. This is why. The thing about the Bucks is this: the Bucks aren't winning because they're better. The Bucks are winning because they understand how to do it. Like the Bucks did it with 10 wins last year, right? And I get it. Baker Mayfield, he has the most experience in that division. He has the best coach in that division. I don't think he got the best team, right? They added a nice piece with with the receiver coming out of Ohio State. Here's the thing about the Panthers, right? This Panthers offense is going to be nasty. Like it is going to be Hunter Renfrow. What? To go along with McMillan? There go Adam Thielen. Oh shoot, there go Xavier Leggett. Oh shoot, there go Joe Horn. Oh, we ain't even got to the running backs. I'm just saying, a defense has got to figure out its way, could benefit from a high-powered offense. I think the Panthers I think the Panthers win it. It's gonna be come down to week 17, 18 now. I think it's gonna be up and down.
In Tampa, week 18.
Exactly. Which is what you want, right? The Bucks kept Atlanta out of the playoffs last year. The Bucks will not keep the Panthers from winning the division this year. I got the Panthers 1, I got the Bucks 2, I got the Falcons 3, and obviously, there's a team in New Orleans they're on the side of a milk carton right now.
Yeah. I know you didn't just say Joe Horn instead of Jimmy Horn there. Did I hear that?
I'm sorry. Joe Horn Jr., not Jimmy Horn of the Aints. I apologize, young man. You better not have no cell phone in your sock if you score your first touchdown. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, Jimmy Horn Jr. for the Carolina Panthers.
And Jimmy Horn from the videos I've been watching, it ain't Camp Confidential yet, which I must say. Let me
the blueprint for the Panthers released tonight, just so you know.
I am addicted to football videos like Hard Knocks and 30. I love Camp Confidential, like the way the Panthers do it, showing up to the hotel, whatever. Anyway, so I show you that is my little binge watch right there.
Yep, if you want a little peek, Panthers Blueprint, released tonight, episode 1 of the offseason for those Panther fans on the pod. All right, NFC North, because I know we're over time. No, let's go to the NFC West because I'm still debating my NFC North here. NFC West, I'm going to go Rams first. I think they're going to win this division pretty easily. I think they've gotten better, and I think they're on the doorstep to maybe competing for the conference. I couldn't quite put them in that fourth tier, but they're very close. I've got the San Francisco 49ers finishing second, Seattle third, Arizona fourth. But it's going to be very tight. I like this division a lot. I don't think Arizona is going to be that bottom feeder, and I don't think San Francisco and Seattle are going to be that much better. I think it's going to be very close. I could see this being like 11, 10, 9, 8. I could see it being that close.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this division is not giving enough credit for how competitive it is. Arizona be the wild card in it because of how well they play within the division. The 49ers, even in spite of their very, very easy schedule, is still going to finish second. I got the Rams finishing first, and I got the Seahawks, playing very, very competitive football, finishing third. The Cardinals, listen, a lot of good moments, a lot of suspenseful fourth quarters. They still come out with the L. They haven't figured out how to have a winning culture in Arizona yet.
Side note, do you think this could be Kyler Murray's last year in Arizona? His contract with could be some guaranteed money after this year being. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, because I think he's worn out his welcome there, and I think he's saying all the right things because of how long he's been in the NFL, Smitty. But he's looking around. He's seeing what Minnesota can do for Sam Darnold, what Tampa Bay can do for his former teammate in Baker Mayfield. He's seeing these other quarterbacks saying, "Hey, man, it wasn't me. It was the system I was in. It was the place I was at." Kyler Murray is a very, very serviceable quarterback now. He was Offensive Rookie of the Year. But, Cliff Kingsbury and all these, he had DeAndre Hopkins out there. I want to say at one point he had DeAndre Hopkins, and I think he, God, what's the receiver? Played for Cincinnati all those years. He just retired recently. His name escaped me right now. AJ Green. He had, he had some. So it's not like they haven't tried to service him with good players. I think it's where he plays, not how he plays. And plus, Kyler Murray does that taper off. He'll have a really, really good first half of the year. He'll taper off the second half of the year. But, yeah, I think this might be – and it's going to be weird seeing him in another uniform, but I guarantee you he's going to have a bunch of suitors. I guarantee you if his name comes out there, he'll definitely be people join, he'll probably be able to sign his own ticket, man, because it's not like he lacks talent. I think he lacks, environment at this point.
And then the NFC North, I've got the Chicago Bears barely finishing last in this division. I think Garrett did a good job selling a little bit, but I barely have them finishing last. I've got Minnesota and J.J. McCarthy finishing third. Too many question marks on the quarterback position for me. I got to see it to believe it there. I've got the Lions finishing second. I've got the Packers winning this division. I think the Lions are going to take a stick of a step back. That doesn't mean they're not going to be good. I think they're still making the playoffs, people. They still have the Lions making the playoffs. Green Bay, I think, is just a little better with their youth, and they didn't lose nearly as much as the Lions did. My only question with Green Bay, and this could be the difference between the division and a wild card or not making the playoffs, is Jordan Love. Can he continue to sustain what he did last year?
I have it the same. I have the Packers because once again I think the Lions just that trying to be the top tier fatigue. Just that fatigue of trying to do it year in and year out. The body's just giving out on them. I mean, if you look at what Jordan Love has done without a guy like Matthew Golden, you add a Matthew Golden with Romeo Dobbs and Jaden Reed and Josh Jacobs, they're built to win this division top to bottom. The Lions have learned how to win and develop a winning culture, so I got them making the playoffs. No, I got the Bears finishing third. I got a quarterback with the Vikings. I don't care what he has right. I don't care if he got Jordan Adams. I don't care if he got Justin Jefferson. I don't care if he got T.J. Hockenson. He hasn't played football yet. He has not played. And when you haven't played a full year, the growing pains that were supposed to happen year one will happen year two. So because of that, and I think he's in a good system that can help him, but you got to deal with the rookie mistakes, the rookie growing pains. So I got Minnesota finishing fourth, and I think the Bears move from fourth to third because Ben Johnson is, like we said, and going back to what Garrett said, I think he's going to coach. Caleb, you've been talking a lot. You say you want to get Coach Hard, right? So we're going to see, I think, Chicago. He's not going to throw for 4,000 yards because it doesn't matter, but I do got to finish in third on the outside looking in when it comes to the play.
All right. Really quick, because we didn't get to this with Garrett, and I wish we had. This is the only question I did not ask him. As we close this out, very last thing. Did you have any comments on Deion Sanders when he talked about he was hurt by the reports about his son Shedeur being unprepared during pre-draft meetings? He isn't buying the validity of the teams either. Shedeur says most of the hate's been towards his daddy, and he hasn't seen any of the stuff come his way personally. It's been more about Deion and him talking. Do you think Deion is okay? Here's my question: do you think one is the comments on what Deion said, and two, do you think Deion is hurting Shedeur by continuing to talk in the podcast instead of saying like, I wish the best for Shedeur. He's in the NFL now. Go Cleveland Browns. Shedeur's gonna, he's got to do what he's got to do.
Deion making the comments. It's sour grapes now. because what the leverage that you thought you had, you didn't have. And sometimes, think about this, Smitty. I mean, you listen. You got little girls. I got kids. Sometimes it's hard to separate the father from the son. He's a pro now. Right. And for Deion, this is the first time Deion cannot control the narrative because he doesn't play for Deion. When he was at Colorado, Jackson State, Deion could control the narrative because I can speak for him. I can protect him from it. Now I can't. Now, is Deion hurting Shedeur? He ain't helping him. He's not helping him. I don't know if he's hurting him because it's a part of Deion that we've never seen. Deion, the super confident, sometimes overconfident, very, very strong belief in himself with Deion. It's not Shedeur, it's that Sanders name. Because Deion knows, man, all I got is my last name. So now Shiloh, they say he's balling, because they say Shedeur doing his thing in Cleveland. They say Shiloh doing his thing in Tampa. I think what it is, Smitty, when I'm so used to controlling the room, well, I no longer can control it. When I'm so used to controlling the narrative, I no longer can. This ain't Boulder, Colorado. This ain't your podcast. This ain't your TV show. This ain't your Netflix special coming out. This is real life. And I'm not saying Deion is wrong in his assessment, Smitty, but sometimes damage control have to be looked at through the eyes of just being complimented. Hey, listen, I'm happy at the fact that my son got drafted. No, we thought he was going to get drafted high. Shiloh didn't even get drafted, right? You know who was representing Shiloh? Deion. You know what he had to do? He had to fire his daddy. Because I think what Deion realized is, as great as I was as a player, Hall of Fame, the greatest cornerback, you will not break up the culture of the NFL. How the NFL is, that you benefited from, your son, my son, nobody's son is going to disrupt the status quo. And I think that's all they're really telling the Deion is, look, man, handle it the way you handle it. But you know how this is, Smitty. It's not what you say and how you do. It's the consequences that come with it. You can't control everything. You can't control and it's the consequence of it. This man is the most highly watched 5th round pick we have ever seen, as far as like just the media side of it. Now it's time to go play football. He's putting it all to the side. Deion, just talk complimentary about yourself. It's over with. It's like when Michael Parsons going back and forth with DeMarcus Lawrence when he went out there to Seattle because he was saying, I've been in Dallas for 10 years and you're not going to win. Michael's supposed to say, that's his opinion. Don't go. You can't win those arguments, Michael. So if you are Deion, every time you say something about woe is me and the NFL didn't do my son right, it's only going to boost. It's only going to push the negativity that comes towards you, and it's going to push down the positivity that could have been coming towards you. But I just chop it up to you got 2 sons in the National Football League. One got drafted, one is undrafted, one is in Cleveland, and he's in a position to play a lot of football. They say they say Shiloh's looking incredible in Tampa. Hey man, just say, man, we got 2 Sanders in the league, and chop it up to that because you know how it is, Smitty. If you don't like Deion, nothing he can say to make you like him. If you love him, nothing he can say to make you dislike him. Choose the latter, Deion. Choose your platforms to be complimentary of your player, of your son. Because if you think the narrative is crazy, now, if Shedeur don't play well, regardless if it's Cleveland, they ready. You know they ready, Smitty, and they can't wait. So come on, man. Try to be protection for your son. And I'm talking about Shedeur, not Shiloh. Shiloh down in Tampa doing food reviews. Yes, I saw it. Yes, I be watching. Just so y'all know, and food reviews. If you've never done it, man, it's a great way to get clicks and a great way. And I heard sometimes they give you free food depending on how popular you are. Not saying I tried it, but I will if I can get some free food. Just saying.
Everyone likes free food. Well, that's a good place to end it here. Episode 44 of Winning the Division. Remember, you are either in the division or you are winning the division. Let's also want to thank our guest tonight from CBS Sports. That was Garrett Podell. We'll continue to have guests on for you guys. Continue to like, rate, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Keep Pounding Podcast Network, Fans First Sports Network, youtube.com/Tobacco Radio. For Ben Troupe, I'm Ryan Smith. This is Winning the Division, episode 44. We'll see you next week.